This just in, All Flesh and Blood is officially out of print. FAB 2.0 is on our doorstep, and there's only 124,999 remaining boxes of Flesh and Blood Monarch First Edition. Oh no, the sky is falling. All this and more, where I've been and what I've been doing, the future of Flesh and Blood, it's in your hands, it's in my hands, it's in everyone's hands. Enjoy the game, and let's get on this episode. Let's go! I like that. That's good.
This just in, all Flesh and Blood products are officially now out of print. Yeah, they're officially out of print, every single one of them, even the newest set, Everfest. All this and more on today's episode, followed by a discussion on why 124,999 boxes of Monarch First Edition is just right. Because, that's right, we're going to be ripping one open to decrease that population by just one, so that you don't have to.
Greetings and welcome! I know that this is a little bit of a change of scenery, but there is a lot going on. Because there's a lot going on, that means that I've been busy. Life gets busy. You know, that thing that most people have outside of a YouTube channel and trying to do things, but taxes are a real thing, businesses are a real thing. It's just life, family, friends, work, your day job. Because, well, until this does a little bit more interesting stuff, my day job pretty much keeps me pretty entertained. But that said, I very much enjoy that you tuned in today, and thank you for coming. We're going to do some pretty interesting conversations as we open up one of the 124,999 remaining Flesh and Blood Monarch First Edition boxes. That's right, because 125,000 boxes were produced. That's the number that Flesh and Blood produced and has posted to their collector's center. Some people have freaked out. Some people say it's not enough. But guess what? This game is going to last. Therefore, that means that that number, well, as Papa Rudy once said, you're thinking too short term. At least I think he said that, because that's the way I interpreted what he said. What does that really mean? Well, frankly, we can start breaking down some numbers, and I will get down to some interesting numbers on rares, majestics, fableds, legendaries, commons, because that is really where the interesting data lies. So, let's just get right into it. I'm going to flip over to the other camera, and we're going to start talking about it, as well as the fantastic announcement. I cannot wait. It is just at my fingertips. It's right here. Flesh and Blood 2.0. That's right. There is a thing on the website that says Flesh and Blood 2.0, and it looks like it is going to come out sometime tomorrow. I should say announced sometime tomorrow. So that being said, I am very excited, because that means that Flesh and Blood right here, it says it, 2.0, boom, right there. I am super ecstatic. And there is one more document, the Morlock Hill. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's PvE, if it's some new monster, it's creative, so maybe it's a story, I don't know, but it's exciting that they're releasing content, and I'm excited, you're excited, I hope, so let's get right into it. So before we get started, let's kind of take a step back and look at Flesh and Blood holistically. Flesh and Blood has only been around because this is an alpha box of Flesh and Blood Welcome to Wraith, the very first set, and it says 2019. You can see it right there. Now, we are just now entering the year of 2022. Granted, it is about April, so just entering, relative speaking. Grand scheme of things, this is a very short amount of time that this game has existed. What does that really mean is that the unlimited version of this same set, which we don't know the print run numbers on, came out in 2020. That's 1 year later. So now you have two of the same set that encompass all of the cards ever made for the initial set released for Flesh and Blood. Then you had Arcane Rising. It came out, and it did the same thing, an alpha and an unlimited, or a first edition and an unlimited. Then you had Crucible of War, first edition, unlimited. Then you had Monarch, first edition, unlimited. See where I'm going? So this Monarch is one of the first edition Monarchs. So what makes first edition special? Well, a lot of things make first edition special, and a lot of players and collectors can look at this in two different ways. The thing with first edition is, yes, there's collectability to it, and that's awesome. But as a player, if you want to get the product, but the day it's released, it is so expensive to get, I have had several of my friends not want to play the game because they say it's too expensive. Now, while somehow that's kind of true, it's not really true. Sloop did a really good episode on this recently, where if you buy one card, so as an example for me, if I buy a tunic, it is in 6 different decks. Well, that really is divided amongst those 6 decks. And if I have 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 decks down the road, guess what? That same card is still useful years later. It doesn't really affect, unless they ban it, which that is a whole nother topic. We're not going to go down that bandwagon right now. But there are useful cards that exist in every set that are generically useful within classes. And if a new hero comes out, if they legend out like Starvo, because he's been doing really great. So because of that, we can touch on the banned and restricted list, which they didn't change anything. So that's actually really interesting to me, because I heard so many people speculate that they're going to ban him because he's too powerful. They're going to do all this, blah, 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 blah. You know what? He probably is overpowered. But if he becomes the first, character to ride off into the sunset and farewell, good sir, then guess what? He becomes the first to hit legendary status, and that's, or I think it's retirement. I forget the exact term, but I'll put it up here because I don't know why I'm forgetting it. But basically, that's not a bad thing, I don't see. Granted, he is a great character. I like the story. Then you get the people saying in the collectible aspect, there is a double-sided token that's super rare, and that holds the value in the set. But you know what? You can still go get the 10-cent, 30-cent common mythic version, or majestic version, and that's going to do the same thing. You can play with it in a tournament. The people that thought that card was going to be terribly hard to get, I'm glad that it was printed enough to where I wanted a copy, my wife wanted a copy, my friend wanted a copy. We all were able to get our own copies. And if I was able to get the more exotic version of the foil, the cold foil, whatever, any of that, it worked out. I didn't have to worry as much. So that was exciting. Now, going forward, there's been tons of new characters, like this cosplay card that is coming out as a promo, and then, the Bard. There's so many classes in that lore book that they haven't touched on. I'm very excited to see where things go in the future with those particular items. But that's a down the road thing. What I want to talk about now is really the fact that all sets currently are out of print. I used to play a lot of Magic, and I still have a very large random assortment of crap. I mean, that's my ID. I collect misprints. I collect medallions. I loved certain things. I fetch lands, things like that. I have passion for this game. I mean, I had at one point, I had almost a full set of power. I've gotten rid of it. Granted, life decisions kind of correlated to just different paths, but frankly, the game of Magic is no different than Flesh and Blood. There may be cards in the future that will appreciate to the value of what a Black Lotus was or is today. The problem is, everyone wants everything now. And as I said, guess what? 2019. What is it? 3 years later. Magic's been around for 20 years. It took 20 years for that card. Hell, 4 years ago. 2016. Oh, so it's been longer than that now. So 6 years. 2016. 2017. Lotuses were like $3,000. $3.5 grand, $4 grand for a heavy play Lotus, so I could go out and basically play it in a Type 1 deck. Not anymore. Can't touch those for less than $10,000, $12,000. I see them all the time at some of these events. Heck, even at the SGC Indy or whatever, the calling that was here. There was a lot of Magic, because there was Magic aspect, and then there was the Flesh and Blood aspect. There was Flesh and Blood dealers that were there. And as I walked around and looked, there was a good mix of cards that were available and cards that weren't available. I noticed that some of the higher end value cards were all slabbed. Almost every single one of those high end Flesh and Blood cards was slabbed. And that is another core difference, because my Lotus that I had was so beat and so played that, you know what? A person that would be all huffy puffy about this isn't a PSA 10 or a BGS 9.5. You know what? That card had more class than your entire, collection, because it was played. It was beautiful. And the problem I see is that Flesh and Blood, everyone came in thinking this is an investment right off the bat. So they took these cards and they didn't go play with them without sleeves. They didn't go and take them and basically play in the backyard or in the playground with them. No, they go straight from a pack into a sleeve, off to a grading company, and then end up at a slab. So the population count, while they might say there's 3,000 or 4,000 of certain cards, the percentage of those cards that are still in greater than great condition outweighs the 25, 30 years of Magic when, time progresses that have been lost to attrition. floods, fires, damages, whatever, playing in the backyard, using it in your bicycle wheel to basically just make it make noise. I don't know. The problem I see is that everything can't appreciate at the speed it's appreciating. Otherwise, it's just not going to fly, in my opinion. But I get it. There needs to be a balance, a happy medium between the investment aspect, the selling aspect, and the collecting aspect. All of it, the playability. It's a giant, it's like a circus. It's like the guy balancing plates as he's walking around, on a one-wheel trike, being chased by a lion, they have to, Flesh and Blood is having to balance all these, knobs, turn all these dials, make everything just right in order for you as a collector, you as a player, you as a hybrid of both, me as a single seller, because I'm selling cards, I'm selling all the singles as much as I can, but the thing is, you have to have a balance. Everything has to exist. And that is, I think, my one takeaway message from Flesh and Blood being out of print at this time, is I think that the cocoon, if you look at it like an animal or a creature, a moth, I think it's a butterfly, it's a larva, and now it's cocooned itself, and it's going to emerge as butterfly. Flesh and Blood is about to come out, and it's 2.0. And yes, there's MetaZoo. Yes, there's Sorcery. Yes, there's all these other Kickstarted games that are coming out, and I'm watching them because they look interesting. The artwork on some of these is just mind-blowingly amazing. Flesh and Blood, it's one of the biggest reasons I fell in love with this game, is that the artwork is just phenomenal. But you also have to have a gameplay. So, like, for me, Flesh and Blood checks all these boxes. That's why I like it. So, yes, even though technically all sets are out of print, I think there's a reason. I think there's a reason we haven't seen Everfest Unlimited. I'm thinking that the first edition Unlimited model was in a time where Flesh and Blood was in its infancy. And while they could go to the printer and order 40,000 boxes or whatever, get that first initial flavor, and then they went up to a little bit higher, crank that knob just a little bit more. And now Monarch, which, really is the flagship premier set, in my opinion, that was, even though I personally do not like Monarch from the character perspective, because I'm a Dash player, I like Mechanologist. That is my favorite class, followed probably closely by like Shapeshifter, so Shiana, or, I'm really growing on Katsu recently. But aside from that, you have a love for a character or a class or a style of gameplay, and Monarch, for me, as a person that liked a different playstyle, did not find much benefit from Flesh and Blood's Monarch. So, that said, I'm also looking at this from another perspective. As the game has progressed, this box of Monarch that's sitting right here was created 2021. What did I say earlier? We're in 2022. It's 1 year old. Okay, 1 year, 125,000 of something. Go out and buy 125,000 boxes of Pop-Tarts. If you eat one Pop-Tart a day for, I don't know, let me go do some quick math, because now I'm laughing at myself here. 1 times 365 times, I don't know, 10 years. Or actually, no, yeah, because, one Pop... No, let's say you eat... Because it's 2 Pop-Tarts in a container. So that's 7,300 Pop-Tarts for one person over the course of 10 years. Okay? So now, think about that. That's just one person eating 7,300 Pop-Tarts if they eat 1 Pop-Tart a day for 10 years. Or 2 Pop-Tarts, whatever, The numbers game... I know you're going to make fun of me for this, and it's fine. 125,000, in my opinion, is a great number. It's going to allow these to be in existence for a couple of years. And that's when the rarity factor on these will start to appreciate. I think that everyone came in and expected this. Yes, LSS worded some things certain ways, and that's fine. The way they worded it is specific to the archetype of the game. First edition, limited print run. Unlimited, limited, unlimited print run. It's not unlimited forever. Print to demand, basically, or whatever. We don't know the print numbers on Unlimited Welcome to Wraith. We don't know the print numbers on Unlimited Arcane. We don't know the print numbers on Unlimited Crucible, I don't think, at this point. Or Tales of Aria. So, the fact that we only know this one particular part means that there's going to be a very interesting array of ways you can take this number, and I think people are just on face value taking it way too seriously. but I also understand people put a lot of money into these products. That said, I'll leave it as is, but I think that holistically, you're looking at a really great number in my eyes, because I can get singles, I can sell the singles, people are enjoying it. There are sealed products, sealed collectors, and they're going to be, years to come, able to get these boxes hopefully at a appreciated price, but not, you know, the 600,000 Mondo 1K thing. They'll get there probably, but it'll take time. Look at Magic the Gathering, like what? You know, Chronicles, The Dark, you know, those sets. How long did it take for those to appreciate? I'm sure somebody knows. Put it in the comments. You know, tell me I'm wrong. I'd like to find out. But that is where it is. So, anyways, on to the next topic. I did mention the banned and restricted list for just a brief amount of time, and I think it's interesting because I'm not as hardcore of a player as some of the indie group or other players that are out there. But again, big congrats to Michael. You know, I got to talk to him that day at Indy, and I've played against him, I think, once or twice, you know, just in the local community. And the guy is humble, and it's awesome because it's great to see what he does and how he's so seriously focused on the game. I mean, I think the guy even made a Kickstarter or was part of a Kickstarter here recently. The guy is really good at the game, and I appreciate that he has the input he has in the game. And I've listened to a lot of the podcast with him on as a guest, and his styles, his tactics, the other things. So I feel like there's a lot that can be learned from him. But you know, the fact that, you know, he is a good player and that other good players out there have, it seems like, and again, I'm not really sure where it stands, seems like they wanted some of these cards kind of banned or pre-banned to help kind of guide the power level back to a more manageable state. It seems like they're just going to play it out and let like I said, let Bravo ride off into the starry, you know, sunset and go from there. So leave it at that. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to start jumping into this first edition Monarch box here, and I will start to explain the where I have been. This box, and this is something else I've noticed, this box is still sealed. It's not tampered with, but the seals on these are quite brittle, actually. It really amazes me how this one seal has kind of pried itself open. But there you go, one less box in existence. 124,999. That's it. And this first edition box is going to be hopefully a real fun first edition box, because I haven't opened very much first edition product other than when I went to the pre-release, and back when that happened I was still a Flesh and Blood noob. Now granted, I'm still a Flesh and Blood noob in a lot of regards, but I would say that the most memorable part of that tournament or that event was getting to see that they went to kind of a dual, or like, I love Pokemon packs where you have one of each art pack. So what I've started to do, and I think it's right here, is these are each type of pack. So as we go down, boom, 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 each artwork, each type of artwork. And that is so I can hopefully keep a very unique aspect of history, because I want to display them on a wall sooner or later. And interestingly enough, I don't think I have first edition Monarch packs, so I need to figure out how I'm going to obtain a couple of these. I either may just keep a couple of these sealed, which is funny because, you know, if there's really good stuff in it, you'll never know, right? You'll never find out. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into this, and we're going to talk about a little bit of what's going on with me, the studio, how things are going, and basically just a general update with where the channel is going to hopefully be going from here. So the studio, ooh, wow, look at that. It's like a interesting little mark of something. But the studio in general is going to be continuously worked on as we go forward here. And part of, we're going to go ahead and go right there. Part of what has been the big problem has just been space and some life items. There's just been a lot of things that needed to get, oh my gosh, look, we hit a that was going to be the one that I was going to keep in a box. Wow! That's cool. That's the cold foil. Holy crap, that's neat. There you go. Proof you literally have no idea what every box can be crazy. Wow. Oh, man. Oh, look at that. And a majestic. Wow. That's amazing. That's good. Heck. All right. I guess I'm just going to stop opening the rest of this box now. But I'm working on the studio. It's going to be a better place for us to be able to film all sorts of content. And what is been slowing things up is this is actually formerly where the garage was at. So now this is essentially a place where we can come out and have dedicated filming location so that we can more happily be able to film, play test, work on all sorts of different product videos and reviews. I definitely think that that is one of the bigger things that will be coming shortly. I started a video series and then had some life thing kind of happen, which is why you have not seen the follow-up to the Welcome to Wraith video that I had started. I was very proud of how that video turned out. I know a lot of people hadn't really seen that, but I want to document some of the more unique aspects of kind of the layout of each of the boxes, the packs, what's in them, what you can get. It's something I haven't seen anybody else do, and it's something I like doing. So I'm going to start doing some of those videos. You're going to see a little bit more freeform videos like this. I've been really wanting to do a video, and it's just been something where I have been so silly busy that I just have had no time for me to come back in and complete making this video. So heck, at this point we may end up actually only going through half of this box because I feel like this video is just going to be drug on for way too long, and I really don't know if people like watching these long form videos. I know some people do and some people don't, but that's okay. I think overall that I'm not going away, Flesh and Blood is not going away, and that the people that are thinking it's going to go away are probably very mistaken. So I hope in my heart of hearts that Flesh and Blood 2.0 does a couple of things, fixes some problems, which realistically I don't even see that many problems. So I don't see how Flesh and Blood 2.0 is going to change too much, but who knows? Maybe, like I said, maybe they're going to go away from the first edition. It sounds like somebody wasn't happy with the way the first edition model was working, so that means that probably there's no more Unlimited. So the Unlimited that's out there is essentially at this point, going to be harder and harder to get. So as that product gets eaten up, gets used over the years, it's going to go away. So the days of $60 boxes of Welcome to Wraith and $70 boxes of Arcane Rising or whatever, I'm guessing that those days are going to be few and far between as the years progress. So this game does have some, I guess, ooh, that's pretty, has some longevity. At least I feel it's going to have some longevity to it. The concept is great. The artwork is beautiful. It's just, out of all the possible things, ooh, Crack Bauble, yeah, I love Crack Bauble. This playmat and Crack Baubles, I'm collecting the crap out of Crack Baubles. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up because again, I have been just talking nonstop. There's a foil Majestic. Look at that. It's pretty. And another Majestic. There's so many Majestics in this box. This box is super awesome. Oh, man. I think I'm very excited for the game. I'm very excited to see what the Flesh and Blood 2.0 announcement is. There's a lot of great people still very, very excited about this game. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, the most important aspect. People are super excited, like the game, enjoy playing it. and don't have any quarrels with, you know, new and unique ways to play the game. I think that we're going to see some very interesting archetypes. I still would love to see dual classing. I think that that would be amazing. I can't wait for PvE. There's just so many things that, yeah, so many things. All the things, all the stuff, all the things. So I think I'm going to go ahead and leave a couple so that we can open some packs in some side videos. And that, my friends, will end this video. I know, it's not a full box. You're like, I got gypped. And that about wraps it up today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you listening to me ramble. There's a lot of exciting things happening in Flesh and Blood, and I'm just so excited that hopefully things will continue to progress, and you'll see more interesting backdrops as we kind of continue to build things out. This is essentially what it used to look like in the former area, the kitchen, and hopefully we'll pull more spicy, cool stuff as the game continues. Thank you. Jacob, signing off.
Okay, so we're going to double check, make sure all the audio is good, and we're going to... On today's episode of Geeks First, all Flesh and Blood is out of print. What does that mean for you? Also, 124,999 boxes remain of Monarch First Edition. Will you get yours in time before they disappear? Stay tuned, because we have more information about that FAB banned and restricted list. You know, that one that, well, we'll talk about it. And where have I been and what have I been doing? The strange disappearance of the actor Jake, and where he might have gone. All that and more on this episode, so stay tuned. This just in, all Flesh and Blood is now officially out of print. Get yours while supplies last. Also, we discovered, oh wait, there's more. Looks like there's only been 124,999 boxes of Monarch First Edition. Better get it now, run to the store, hurry up, it's soon to be out of print forever. Get yours while supplies last. Also, in other news, the banned restricted list. Was it really banned? Okay, anyways, also, where have I been and what have I been doing and why have I not posted any videos? All this and more on today's episode of Geeks First. Stay tuned. This just in, all Flesh and Blood products are officially now out of print. That means we're getting ready for Flesh and Blood 2.0. But don't worry, because Unlimited is the newest hot item. Also, Monarch First Edition. Why 124,999 boxes are the perfect number, just because. And we'll explain what happened to the Flesh and Blood banned restricted list on today's episode, all that and more, including where I have been and what I have been up to. So stay tuned. This just in, all Flesh and Blood products are officially out of print. What does that mean for you as a collector, an investor, a player? Well, stay tuned and learn more on today's episode where we discuss all that FAB 2.0, 124,999 Monarch First Edition boxes, where I have been and what I've been doing. Whew, that's a lot. But I guarantee it's going to be a great episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.